Hi, my name is Derek Henry, and I'm a solutions consultant at BlackLine. In this quick overview, we're going to look at BlackLine from the lens of a preparer, the most commonly used role type in BlackLine. Now, when you log into the solution, you're greeted by dashboards that are tailored to your role to keep you focused on what you need to complete rather than manually searching and asking around. Without critical details like these at your fingertips, important items can be missed or go past due, resulting in longer than desired close timelines or unreliable financial statements. The dashboards themselves can be rearranged and reconfigured to your personal preference, and that's going to be segregated by the different roles that you might have. Click on the dynamic links, such as what items have not yet been prepared, to drill into the details. If you need to search through those details, you can easily just type a couple of letters, and it's like when you're searching on Google. Or you can leverage the many configurable fields you can use to help things keep organized. It doesn't just have to fit in one particular folder. Now, my favorite way to track items was with the task status grid, and that's what we're looking at now. This allows you to filter and sort and show whatever fields you want and save that as a view, and as you can see right here, you can have as many views as you want, filtering on whatever items it is that you look at from time to time, whether that's the first day of close or whatever. Imagine having all of your preferred filters in place every time you open Excel files. That's the analogy here. You can complete the critical items first, automatically move them forward in the workflow so reviewers aren't left waiting. Automated alerts help make sure that you're aware of upcoming or past due items. These can also be configured to alert the next person in a workflow that an item's done, ready for them to review. No more manually sending them emails, or worse, forgetting to. The automated workflow and alerts have created a cohesive accounting process our clients has resulted in significant efficiencies in a month-end close. We've seen up to 70% reduction in the time to close. Now, month-end close is just one of many ways that people help you track items, right? And you might have a category related to that. Another one is tracking PBC items or audit requests. Because items can be linked together, you can leverage the work you're already doing and complete the audit a little bit at a time. A great example is account recs, right? Probably half of that request list you normally prepare are account recs. Those can be linked, and that's what the icon over here would indicate. So that once the rec is prepared and then it's approved by the approver, it would automatically mark it off the list right here and then expose it to where the auditors could see it. Just think about how much easier the audit is to manage without so much back and forth. When you share restricted, read-only access with the auditors, you can significantly reduce the time spent managing the audit. Auditors spend less time as well since everything's organized for them and they don't have to ask you everything. They can just hop in and get it. Documenting internal controls is another great use of BlackLine. Even if you aren't publicly traded and subjected to detailed controls testing, having at least a few key controls is crucial. You're often already doing the work, like through a task or a rec. So link it to the controls you've defined, and when you certify the task or rec, it'll automatically certify controls like these for you. Now, this is accomplished through the dependency tree. As an example of how this works, this is a simple one where you've got a parent and you've got 3 children. Now this can link to reconciliations like you see in blue, journal entries like you see in green, or it could be another generic task as a child as you're seeing here in black. It can also be really detailed. You could take all the items within your close process or those other use cases and show that order of operations. And then you see something like this and it's just a visual of how things are moving throughout the process. Companies have found this really helpful to optimize the order of operations, making sure prerequisites are done and that rework is avoided. Now within the workspace, you're going to see a screen like this, where you're very clearly defining the purpose and the instructions. Over here is like the why with the purpose, and on the instructions, it's like the how and the what. When you clearly define expectations like that, guess what? It gets done, right? It's like with the kids that I've got at home. When we clearly define expectations, they tend to get it done, right? Those can be uploaded in bulk if you already have a lot of those done, but just like in the previous companies I worked at where we use BlackLine, you can also aggregate them over time. Now the meat of what is done throughout the month is down here in the comments, supporting documents, and hyperlinks section. This is where people collaborate and mention each other as users in the comment section, or you store all kinds of documents like Excel files with calculations, or PDFs or invoices, contracts, Word files with a policy or procedure that's in depth that you already have, or it could even be an email approval. And hyperlinks work the same way, only you're linking to another system or a file. What we found people use these for is to link out to systems where you need to submit something. That way it's very clear where it needs to go and maybe even store the shared login credentials, right? Now when ready to sign off, Our users love this concept of a certification statement. This is basically what you're attesting to. So when you're done, you can just check the box and indicate what you did, and there's even a point system associated to ensure that it's got quality behind it. Now that's a template system, so you're not going to have to set up a statement for every single thing you're doing. You can reuse those over and over again. And this is answering questions before they get asked. That's time savings right there. Who wants to follow back up and do something again and touch it another time? And then you'd certify, and that would drive it to the next person in the workflow. Now, moving into reconciliations, we're going to go back to the dashboard here. So with Recs, you've got it clearly summarized between key and non-key and the different completion or status steps that are going on here. Now, we're going to look at an example of a reconciliation. We take a templated approach, and this one right here is a prepaid. So it's showing you what the original balance was, and BlackLine's going to automatically roll forward that balance over time, so you don't have to. It's a set it and forget it approach. Well, whether you're adding these manually or you're importing these, or there are other ways to even add them within a rec, BlackLine's going to know what to do with those. So that this balance right here, the 63,000, is automatically going to update each period just based on repetitive logic. Now, below that, you're going to see the GL balance. Now, you cannot update this. It shows you a timestamp whenever this was last imported automatically to BlackLine. And it's going to tell you what that difference is from the schedule above in dollars and percent. That's going to drive whether you can even certify. So we've got controls in place, making sure that the work is complete before you can even get it done. That GL balance powers a lot of automation, whether there is no balance change since the previous period, whether it's taking a defined schedule like you're seeing above and just rolling that forward, or maybe it's a ZBA account, or maybe it's intercompany, or something else. Over half the recs in BlackLine are auto-certified by one of many rules that you can depend on to make sure that you know what's happening. Now, let's say that GL balance changes, right? There's a late journal entry or something. BlackLine will automatically decertify it if it's outside of thresholds and alert the preparer that there's something else to do. So from all these different angles, we've got you covered so that you know that the risk is mitigated. Now, another example is a bank rec. This is a very common starting point for people where they've got all this detailed, tedious transaction leveled work that they're left to do in spreadsheets most of the time. And here it's automating a huge chunk of it. A couple hundred transactions were automatically matched off between two data sources. In this case, that'd be the bank and the GL. The bank balance was automatically brought in. And then you've got a place right here to easily reflect timing differences, right? You don't have to go back and forth with Excel. This just all happens where you're working by exception. Transactions come in every single night if you want them to. They run through the matching engine where you get to define what a good pass or match transaction looks like, and you're left to deal with just the exceptions. That's the approach that we take. Now, you can report on these things. And why do we take this templated approach? Because you get insights like these. If you wanted to see all the aged items across all the account recs that you've got, you could run a report and even sort by age descending or amount or risk. I bet you that's a little bit hard to do in Excel. And I know because I've tried, right? I'm a big fan of Excel, but there's just some things that if they're not done just right and very consistently, you lose a lot of insights, right? You've got both a tabular view at the bottom and a graphical view in most cases for reports. Sometimes they look a little funky, so you might just go with the grid. But it gives you insights so you can find what you're looking for quickly, have a discussion about it, and decide what to do. Now, one last thing I'm going to point out here is the BlackLine community. There are hundreds of thousands of users across the world in all kinds of shapes and sizes and industries of businesses that are using BlackLine. So this is a great place to collaborate, to share knowledge about how you're using it, to request feature enhancements, and to leverage BlackLine U, our online training portal where there's over 500 courses available to help your team learn how to enhance and transform your close. This concludes our view into the life of a preparer in BlackLine and the modern accounting playbook. It's a great foundation based on reviewing what has made so many of our customers so successful, but leaves plenty of room for growth with things like streamlining your flux analysis or automating journal entries or even simplifying complex intercompany processes. If you have any questions about the content of this video or anything BlackLine, please reach out to your account executive. Thanks for taking the time to look into BlackLine and get yourself ready for continued discussions that will move you and your team one step closer to modern accounting.